Hurricane Fiona made landfall on the U.S. territory of Puerto Rico almost exactly 5 years after Hurricane Maria, which was a Category 4 hurricane. And that hurricane nearly decimated the island. Now, Fiona hit Puerto Rico as a Category 1 storm. Even still, nearly half of the island is without electricity and water as we speak. That is in spite of plans to address power grid problems after Hurricane Maria. So there's questions here, and the key one I have is why and who is to blame. Puerto Rico's Electric Power Authority, also known as PREPA, and LUMA, a private company that took over the island's power transmission and distribution last year, are both under scrutiny. New York Attorney General Letitia James called for an investigation into the energy provider, saying, quote, Puerto Ricans are rightly concerned about the failures of LUMA. She goes on to say, I'm calling for a federal investigation into LUMA and for critical upgrades and system improvements so that Puerto Ricans are never again left in the dark. I want to bring in Carmen Yulín Cruz. She is the former mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and I believe you're in Puerto Rico right now, Madam Mayor. Thank you for joining us. I want to start with asking, how do you think elected officials have handled the crisis on the island following Hurricane Fiona?
Well, Simone, one of the things I tell the student at the Weizmann Center when I talk to them about crisis management is that crises are about people. And of course, if people favor the current government, they're going to say they've done great. If they don't, they're going to say they haven't. But I'm here in the town of Ponce, in the southern part of Puerto Rico, and I want to show you one thing. We are some crews, right? They're cleaning this. What you're looking at is sanitary waters and pipes that broke, and this is water with human excrements. The smell isn't great at all. It's been cleaned for the second time this week, and you can see over here how high the waters came through. So one of the things that has happened is that the Puerto Ricans are starting to question. We have had 5 years after Maria. For the electrical grid alone, $9 billion were given to Puerto Rico. Only 40 million have been used. 40 million. So we were not ready for a Category 1 or even less a Category 2. Now, in the town of Ponce, as in most municipalities, the mayors are doing all they can. The mayor of Ponce has everybody, all hands on deck as we speak. But the thing is that the mayors need the resources in order to do the job that they can and they have to do. And right now, all the resources go to the central government, and the central government hoards all that.
So you're saying the central government is not releasing the funds needed to mayors across the territory?
Not only are they not releasing it, but last week, the governor of Puerto Rico allowed $250,000 for each municipality when there is a fund, right, an emergency fund that has $159 million in it, which can very easily be distributed by it. And then not all the municipalities were put on the emergency declaration, and then starts the ping pong. Right now it's FEMA's fault. No, it's the government's fault. And while this fight is taken on, people in this community of Playa and Ponce and in many other communities are suffering the consequences.
So what can folks who are watching this show right now, what can they do to help the citizens of Puerto Rico?
Well, first of all, I think it's important that we look at the distinction of the Trump administration and the Biden administration, but still that we don't weaponize this crisis, right? And that we don't compare crises. Some people say, well, close to 4,000 people died in Maria. Only 16 people so far have died, even though hospitals are already saying our generators are about to go off. We cannot continue to be working on generators anymore. So let's not compare one thing, one crisis with another. The second is to give money to organizations that are doing the work, right? And organizations that are going to be able to put boots on the ground, and that the money that you're giving goes to helping people, not to the administrative costs of the organization. And you can go onto the website and find out. There's a list of organizations that I can make available to you that other people in Puerto Rico have put together, of grassroots organizations that really have been doing the work, not only now, but ever since. I know about CORE, Operation Blessing, right? Which were here after Maria and are here right now in the town of Ponce and in other towns in Puerto Rico.
Mayor, before you go, I'm wondering if you could, one, turn the camera around so that our viewers can see what it looks like in the streets of Puerto Rico right now. And while you're doing that, I'm going to ask you, if we were talking about any state in the United States, I think some of these issues wouldn't even be a factor. I think the question of statehood always comes around when there's a crisis. Do you think statehood for Puerto Rico is the answer?
Well, I think the answer is, when you've invaded a country, Puerto Rico is a country invaded. And the answer is a process of self-determination where the Puerto Rican people can define their relationship with the United States. Many Puerto Ricans, most Puerto Ricans have, there's 3.1 of us here, 5 million in the U.S. So there's less Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico than in the continental U.S. But there's a process of self-determination that should take place where all options are heard and everybody's voice is listened to. What I don't think should happen, and I understand why you asked the question, and let's put this in perspective. You just said Canada, worst hurricane ever, 500,000 people without electricity, and they're being told that by the middle of this week, they will have power again. 1.2 million people in Puerto Rico without electricity for a Category 1 hurricane, and only 12% of the southern part of Puerto Rico is energized at this point.
Former Mayor of San Juan, Puerto Rico, Carmen Yulín Cruz, thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.